In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. O Prophet, always be mindful of Allah, and do not yield to the disbelievers and the hypocrites. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Follow what is revealed to you from your Lord. Surely Allah is all aware of what you all do, and put your trust in Allah, for Allah is sufficient as a trustee of affairs. Allah does not place two hearts in any person's chest, nor does He regard your wives as unlawful for you like your real mothers, even if you say they are. Nor does He regard your adopted children as your real children. These are only your baseless assertions. But Allah declares the truth, and He alone guides to the right way. Let your adopted children keep their family names. That is more just in the sight of Allah. But if you do not know their fathers, then they are simply your fellow believers and close associates. There is no blame on you for what you do by mistake, but only for what you do intentionally. And Allah is all-forgiving, most merciful. The Prophet has a stronger affinity to the believers than they do themselves, and his wives are their mothers. As ordained by Allah, blood relatives are more entitled to inheritance than other believers and immigrants, unless you want to show kindness to your close associates through bequest. This is decreed in the record, and remember when we took a covenant from the prophets, as well as from you, O Prophet, and from Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, son of Mary. We did take a solemn covenant from all of them, so that He may question these men of truth about their delivery of the truth. And He has prepared a painful punishment for the disbelievers. O believers, remember Allah's favor upon you when enemy forces came to besiege you in Medina, so we sent against them a bitter wind and forces you could not see. And Allah is all-seeing of what you do. Remember when they came at you from east and west, when your eyes grew wild in horror, and your hearts jumped into your throats, and you entertained conflicting thoughts about Allah. Then and there, the believers were put to the test, and were violently shaken. And remember when the hypocrites and those with sickness in their hearts said, Allah and His Messenger have promised us nothing but delusion. And remember when a group of them said, O people of Yathrib, there is no point in you staying here, so retreat. Another group of them asked the Prophet's permission to leave, saying, Our homes are vulnerable, while in fact they were not vulnerable. They only wished to flee. Had their city been sacked from all sides, and they had been asked to abandon faith, they would have done so with little hesitation. They had already pledged to Allah earlier never to turn their backs in retreat, and a pledge to Allah must be answered for. Say, O Prophet, fleeing will not benefit you if you try to escape a natural or violent death. If it is not your time, you will only be allowed enjoyment for a little while. Ask them, O Prophet, who can put you out of Allah's reach if He intends to harm you or show you mercy? They can never find any protector or helper besides Allah. Allah knows well those among you who discourage others from fighting, saying secretly to their brothers, Stay with us, and who themselves hardly take part in fighting. They are totally unwilling to assist you. When danger comes, you see them staring at you with their eyes rolling like someone in the throes of death. But once the danger is over, they slash you with razor-sharp tongues, ravenous for worldly gains. Such people have not truly believed, so Allah has rendered their deeds void. And that is easy for Allah. They still think that the enemy alliance has not yet withdrawn, And if the allies were to come again, the hypocrites would wish to be away in the desert among nomadic Arabs, only asking for news about you believers. And if the hypocrites were in your midst, they would hardly take part in the fight. Indeed, in the Messenger of Allah, you have an excellent example for whoever has hope in Allah and the Last Day and remembers Allah often. When the believers saw the enemy alliance, they said, "This is what Allah and His Messenger had promised us." The promise of Allah and His Messenger has come true, and this only increased them in faith and submission. Among the believers are men who have proven true to what they pledged to Allah. Some of them have fulfilled their pledge with their lives, others are waiting their turn. They have never changed their commitment in the least. It all happened so Allah may reward the faithful for their faithfulness and punish the hypocrites if He wills or turn to them in mercy. Surely Allah is all forgiving, most merciful, and Allah drove back the disbelievers in their rage totally empty-handed, and Allah spared the believers from fighting, for Allah is all-powerful, almighty, and He brought down those from the people of the book who supported the enemy alliance from their own strongholds and cast horror into their hearts. You believers killed some and took others captive. He has also caused you to take over their lands, homes, and wealth, as well as lands you have not yet set foot on, and Allah is most capable of everything. O Prophet, say to your wives, if you desire the life of this world and its luxury, then come. I will give you a suitable compensation for divorce, and let you go graciously. But if you desire Allah and His Messenger and the everlasting home of the hereafter, then surely Allah has prepared a great reward for those of you who do good. O wives of the Prophet, if any of you were to commit a blatant misconduct, the punishment would be doubled for her, and that is easy for Allah. And whoever of you devoutly obeys Allah and His Messenger and does good, we will grant her double the reward, and we have prepared for her an honorable provision. O wives of the Prophet, you are not like any other women. If you are mindful of Allah, then do not be overly effeminate in speech with men, or those with sickness in their hearts may be tempted, but speak in a moderate tone. Settle in your homes, and do not display yourselves as women did in the days of pre-Islamic ignorance. Establish prayer, pay alms tax, and obey Allah and His Messenger. Allah only intends to keep the causes of evil away from you and purify you completely, O members of the Prophet's family. Always remember what is recited in your homes of Allah's revelations and prophetic wisdom. Surely Allah is most subtle, all aware. Surely for Muslim men and women, believing men and women, devout men and women, truthful men and women, patient men and women, humble men and women, charitable men and women, fasting men and women who guard their chastity, and men and women who remember Allah. Often, for all of them Allah has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. It is not for a believing man or woman, when Allah and His Messenger decree a matter, to have any other choice in that matter. Indeed, whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger has clearly gone far astray. And remember, O Prophet, when you said to the one for whom Allah has done a favor, and you too have done a favor, keep your wife and fear Allah, while concealing within yourself what Allah was going to reveal. And so, you were considering the people, whereas Allah was more worthy of your consideration. So when Zaid totally lost interest in keeping his wife, we gave her to you in marriage, so that there would be no blame on the believers for marrying the ex-wives of their adopted sons after their divorce. And Allah's command is totally binding. There is no blame on the Prophet for doing what Allah has ordained for him. That has been the way of Allah with those prophets who had gone before, and Allah's command has been firmly decreed. That is His way with those prophets who deliver the messages of Allah and consider Him and none but Allah. And sufficient is Allah as a vigilant reckoner. Muhammad is not the father of any of your men, but is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets, and Allah has perfect knowledge of all things.